Hello, I'm Terry Ikumi. Welcome to Frank Conversation. Welcome to Hard Copy. This week we speak with the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, on a plethora of issues, beginning with the recently concluded Edo State governorship election. He states his position on that election and responds to the claim by the River State governor that his hotel was occupied by the police in Edo State. Also, Governor Hope Uzodinma addresses the new controversial law which he recently signed, which allows him to detain residents at his pleasure. And having assumed office just about a month before the COVID-19 pandemic emerged in Nigeria, we find out how it has affected governance in the state. Plus, 8 months into his tenure, what are his plans for the people of Imo State? Your Excellency, thank you so much for coming to speak with us on Hard Copy. And I can imagine how stressful it was for you, if it was anyway, for coming from the Edo State governorship election. What was your experience during the process?
So I got to Edo State, party assignment. Of course, it's partisan democracy. And every loyalty to the party is always there for all members of the party, irrespective of your position in government. So we got to Edo State, we campaigned, and then we managed the election. And of course, election has come and is gone, and the results are out. And we didn't win. And it's over. We have to continue. I've done my report. I've sent my report to the party leadership.
Has it really come and gone? Because there are statements flying all over the place. There are statements saying that you rejected the result. There's another statement saying that you did not say that. So what exactly is it? What's your position as far as this election is concerned?
I don't have the local standard to reject the result. I'm not a candidate and was not a candidate in the election and cannot contest the result of the election by the provisions of the Electoral Act. That is one. Two, to the extent of the assignment given to me by my party, that is the extent I went in Edo State. So, and immediately the election result was announced. That is the end of my assignment. I compiled my report. I've sent it to the party leadership. Whatever decision taken by the leadership of the party, of course, I'm bound to accept and follow.
Well, beyond being a member of the APCU, let's assume that you were there as an observer to observe the process in favor of your party, at least. But did you find the process to be as credible as it is being held?
Yeah, the election was conducted. INEC, they did a fantastic job. And the people came out and they voted. And of course, they announced their result. That does not mean that if any of the candidates in the election decides to challenge the result, of course, that is entirely their right to do or not to do. But for me, who went there to work for my party to the limit of the guideline and the responsibility given to me, I've considered my job completed.
Why do you think your party lost that election?
One is an incumbent governor. Two, of course, the result of the election is came out from the mood of the people. Recall that the events that led to the primaries of the party and the choice of candidate was that the incumbent governor was not able to get the ticket of the party, and of course, he decided to fight it by crossing over to APP, PDP, the opposition party, and of course, the grievances here and there, both for and against. Then every other thing now is story. The result of the election is out.
Many people have looked at this election from one side and said that it was a battle between Governor Basaki and the Edo State former chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole. In fact, some people say that the APC lost this election because the chairman was trying to impose a person on the party, and they kicked against what they described as godfatherism. You are familiar with the slogan, "Edo no be Lagos." Do you think that's why your party lost?
No, that I don't think is not the issue, and we shouldn't go out of the track to begin to bring issues that are not necessary. APC is a national party, and one man cannot impose a candidate. And of course, you are only a candidate if you are sponsored by the party. And the process of sponsorship and selection of candidates is not a decision one man can take. It starts from the committee that will do the screening, the committee that will also conduct the primaries. Then the report of the various committees will come to the National Working Committee, who will in turn either endorse or reject, and then forward the names to INEC. So I don't think that is the issue. Of course,
You make it sound like a simple process, but we followed the process. And one of the things we saw was that for Governor Basaki's first term, he got the approval of your party. For his second term, he did not get that approval on the allegations of the PDP at the time that he didn't have the right qualification for it. So it doesn't it raise the question here of whether he was granted a free and fair hearing?
those are internal issues of the party and cannot, of course, I'm not in a position to discuss them. But to the extent, like I told you, is that I've been invited and appointed to go into Edo State, help campaign for the party, and to help see how we can manage the election. And that's what I did. I would not want to begin to join issues with people making utterances that are not official position of the party that I belong to. That to me will not help anybody.
So here's why that's an issue. I'm sure you've heard in some quarters, even the former governor, Rochas Okorocha, has said that the APC has just been held together because of the respect for President Buhari. Do you think that's the case? Because 2023 is almost here, and there are fears that your party might not be able to hold its own come 2023.
I do hope that Rochas Okorocha is one of those that have respect for Buhari, who is the leader of the party. That would be very nice. But I know that the party in Imo State is growing from strength to strength. And since I came here as the governor, with the enormous goodwill I enjoy here, I've also done my best to mobilize and expand the membership for the party. And I can tell you for sure that the party is strong in Imo State, and the party is being received differently now by the entire people of Southeast, who before this time did not have the opportunity of getting a proper explanation and the ideas and the ideology of the party and the benefits that one will get being a member of the national ruling party. And our people are beginning to see some of those now.
Very well. Then let's talk about something that played out during the election. And it's not the first time it's happened. The governor of Rivers State complained about his hotel being occupied by police. And I don't know if that happened in your hotel. I don't think it did. But this happened in 2013 in Awka, Anambra State with Governor El-Rufai. Do you think that this trend is okay? Do governors have a right to go into any state during elections in support of the particular candidate or not?
To the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure such a thing happened.
Which one?
Locking the governor of Rivers State in a hotel. It's not to my knowledge.
Are you suggesting that he's lying about it?
I just heard about it on the televisions, just like you heard about it. Secondly, on an election day, the convention usually is that restriction of movement. Only authorized people on election duty can enter the state during the period of election. Secondly, it is important for the interest of the country and security and for integrity of the election for very important personalities who are moving with convoy not to do such random movement on an election day. I recall also that the Inspector General of Police ordered no movement 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the election day proper. So I don't think that it will be necessary for governors to just troop into Edo State and on the guys that they are visiting. Visiting who? Visiting those who are participating in an election against the security instructions and guidelines of the election. I don't think that that is very proper. But at the same time, I'm not sure that anybody blocked anybody in Edo. I was personally in Benin. I did not come out of my office, the situation room from where we monitored the election. Of course, before I got into Benin, I applied to INEC and I was given on duty time to go into Edo State. Of course, I'm a governor like you know, but I have to follow that to make sure that I'm legitimately in Benin, to do what I was supposed to do. So that is the case, and I will always advise that we help our democracy to grow by submitting to rules, and so that we will be seen to be a rule-driven society.
Your Excellency, let's go away from the election now and talk about something that affects your people. You recently signed into law this new Imo State's Administration of Criminal Justice bill, and it's generated quite a number of reactions. And according to many, it allows you to detain citizens at will, at your pleasure. Are you aware of that? Did you know about that clause or that portion of the bill before you signed it into law?
Don't forget, I came from the Senate to become a governor here. I'm a legislator. And with the Criminal Justice Administration Act is a national legislation. And to the best of my knowledge, what states are doing is just to domesticate that legislation so that being a federating unit, we can also, to the extent of our semi-autonomy, use that to improve our jurisprudence and fast-track administration of justice to our citizens. And when I came here by January 15th, the law was already ripe for to be assented by the former governor. And it was sent to me. I took time, I studied the law. Nothing changed from the national legislation which we did at the National Assembly. And what is more, apart from that, it was not an executive bill. It came as a private member bill.
Hey, well, it was not a copy and paste bill from the Criminal Justice
Yes,
Act
but
that we
I
have.
tell you, to the extent of, I took time to go from page to page.
But the sponsor of that bill says that it was altered. That's not how he proposed the bill.
No, I don't want to begin to join issues with the sponsor of the bill, but I can tell you that I also called for the Hamzat from the House of Assembly. And I looked at everybody that contributed during the debate. And what is more, there was a small committee set up by the judiciary, the then chief judge of the state, and a group of up to 9 judges sat as a committee, looked into that bill, and they prepared their report and recommended to the governor. I sent also that report to my Attorney General, who took time to study and went through the bill, and nothing changed. If you look at the Criminal Justice Act, the national legislation, what they are talking about is the powers given to the president. Now, as I speak to you, as of today, 30 states have domesticated that bill. I think Imo State is number 30. And the position of the president at the national level is the position of the governor at the state level. I think what we should be doing is the maturity for governors or the president to look at the intentment of the law and administer reasonably, consistent with the original intention, not whether the law will help fast-track administration of justice or not. So if you look at that, the law has strengthened and fast-tracked the processes, the timeline, the justice cycle is reduced, and people are not going to languish in the jail waiting for trials.
I'd like to think that that's you assuring the people of Imo State that you will use this law judiciously and people will not be harassed with this law. I also like to think that you are concerned that the people of Imo State are worried about that portion of the law.
By May 29th, 2019, till today, if you observed what happened in Imo State, the political tension, the level of intimidation when PDP were here, and now from January 15th to when I came, look at the mood of the people. Look at what is happening in Imo State, the excitement, how anxious people are. So you will now see the difference. You can see the clear departure from that sense of insecurity that was around the people to where people have now relaxed and their seatbelts are off and are ready to enjoy the flight.
You've been unhappy with some of your people describing you or calling you the Supreme Court governor. Does it unsettle you? Does it distract you from doing your job?
That's the height of ignorance, because I don't know what they mean by that. Why? There is a Supreme Court, and there is a reason for Supreme Court. and the doctrine of the election and democracy itself is that the law expects that there will be grievances, there will be malpractices with every process. And when this happens, the only legitimate right or corridor you have, if you are involved, is to seek redress at the court. And of course, the court determines. Remember that it's not the first time. So many things as elections have happened in the past where things were not done properly, where the candidates went to court and they got justice. You recall the famous judgment that brought Right Honorable Chibuka Moishi to power. It was Supreme Court. You recall that even the governor of River State, my brother Wike, that the lower tribunal removed him, the appeal court removed him. It was Supreme Court that reaffirmed his election as governor. So why will mine be different?
Do you feel you have the support of your people? Because you understand that when you came into power, there were quite a number of protests. Do you think now you have their support?
In Nigeria, people are not able to separate the desirables, their desirables, from what I can call the realizables. People are not able to do that. Otherwise, for a man whose votes were excluded after an election, human beings voted, and these votes were not counted, were counted and not recorded. And I went to Supreme Court for just one thing. INEC, you conducted this election. You counted these results. Why did you not enter my result? And INEC came. Of course, I agree that the result were there, but we were unable to explain why they did not enter the results. It was simple judgment. Supreme Court said, no, you are wrong. Having allowed people to vote, having counted the results, having declared the results at the polling units, that you are duty bound to enter those results at the local government level and ward levels. And that is my case. Very simple case. Now, the people you are saying now that are not happy, those people that voted, because they were more in number. But here you have a society where you have small people who convert themselves into deities, who expect that people must worship them before they get to certain offices. But that is not the meaning of democracy. Democracy is about the will of the people. And the people must be allowed to choose who governs them at any given period. For today, I am certain, to the glory of God, that my people are happy because they voted for me.
How has COVID-19 affected governance for you? Because it came in just after you assumed office.
That is the issue. I came in a few weeks after this whole issue of pandemic started. And of course, I took the bull by the horn. We were very preemptive. We started immediately listening to National Center for Disease Control. All the guidelines they brought out, we followed. We locked our borders, tried to adopt more serious measures that will allow good quality hygiene among our people. And if you look at what is going on today, in the whole of the Southeast, this Imo State, we are not doing house-to-house testing by WHO. And of all they have done, over 2,000 tests they have conducted the last 3-4 weeks, 2 weeks. Our cases, incidence of less than 27 to 30. So the thing really is here, but it's not as bad as it is in other states. I think what has also we have suffered, the economy has suffered a terrible blow. For instance, our internal generated revenue, by January we were trying to build it up to, it was on the increase. By February it was on the increase. By March, it nosedived. Because as I speak to you, up to now, 95% of companies operating in Imo State have not filed their annual returns. That means that the government have not been able to collect taxes that should follow. So this is because the no movement order, the lockdown instruction, our measures, and then the slow traffic in business activities, the economy is almost going down. If not for the various interventions we've received from our global partners, the federal government, and the president has been there sending us palliative, sending us support, stimulus package, this here and there. So I think that is how we have lived. But for COVID, we would have done better than we are doing now.
I'm glad you mentioned that on the issues of IGR because I've gone around the state in the short time I've been here, and there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done. The roads are quite terrible. The lighting at night is bad. There's the issue of erosion. How do you plan to generate revenue post-COVID to tackle some of these things?
Yeah, really, what I met, sometimes I feel so bad because I come from here. I don't feel comfortable discussing most of these things in the media. But I can tell you, it's a total mess. What we are doing now, using my 3R mantra, is to do my best to recover. And the only way we can recover, we must begin to reconstruct. And the only way we can rehabilitate is we must begin to reconstruct. And how do we do that? We can't do that without money. So I'm looking inward to see how best we can improve on our internally generated revenue. As I speak to you, as 2 days ago, every civil servant in this state now have a social benefit number and a tax ID. So that at least the little pay as you earn that civil servants and workers are supposed to pay, we're able to collect that. I have identified most of the industries that are now moribund, and discussions are at advanced stage with financial partners to see how we can rehabilitate some of the industries so that government can begin to earn money. I'm also trying to encourage my team so that we can be very prudent in the way we manage the mega resources we have so that we can get value for money.
I think another thing that's laudable is that you offered, according to your statement, that you offered to use to forfeit your security votes to pay salaries and pensions, because I know that those two things have been major issues since you got into office. I remember a number of protests have been held since you got into office. What's the level of implementation of that?
Yeah, very good. One alarming discovery was the payroll fraud and the pensions fraud. And then, because of how huge the fraud has been and how the thing became a drain pipe to government revenue, we now didn't have a choice but to summon the political will to automate the system. So automation is 90% complete. People are getting their salaries. People are getting their pensions now. By the time we finish the verification exercise, which is about 12 to 13% remaining, so that issue would have been settled. But so far, we have been able to save very close to R1 billion on a monthly basis. This were monies going down the drain. Now put that together for the number of months, and with a clear weather, we'll be able to do some reasonable number of roads. So the good time is about to come. So, and that is how we will go to some other areas. The entirely generated revenue, I see a situation where they have so many tax consultants, revenue consultants, printing receipts, faking government receipts and collecting money on behalf of government. But this money does not come to government. So going forward, all revenues are credible to government must pass through our TSA, single treasury account. And that way we'll be able to conserve this money and then put it together with the savings we will get from the federal allocation that comes. And then we'll be able to address Medicare, address public facilities like the road, education, and all the rest of the thing.
Well, that's hard copy today. Feedback can be sent to the email address and social media handle on your screen. Also remember to catch this and past episodes on our website, channelstv.com. And you can catch our podcasts as well, channelstv.com/podcasts. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.